Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. In this one we're looking at captaincy model. So we'll go over how it performed in game week 7 and then look at the numbers for game week 8. So as you can see on screen, Haaland was top last week with expected points of 7.09. Saka was very close in second, to be fair. So big swing in terms of actual points. Obviously Haaland blanked with 2, Saka with 16, but in terms of expected or projected points, it was actually very close. So yeah, hopefully you ended up on the right end of that. Then we had Palmer in third with 6 points. The fixture just wasn't as good as the other two essentially, so that's why he was a little bit further down. And then Salah was in fourth. Another couple of nice cheaper options with Mbomo and Havertz, they both returned, and then Trent returned in number 9 as well. The expected minutes, none of them seem that far off, to be honest. I mean, the top 7 players in there are all players that are going to play most of the minutes, along with Watkins now as well. Now he's built up kind of a more match fitness as such. He's getting more minutes now as well. Trent seems to be getting more minutes. So yeah, the expected minutes part of it is probably doing okay. Gvardiol will always be a bit lower just because there's always a chance he won't start. And obviously if he doesn't start, he'll get 30 minutes maybe. So he will never be up in the kind of 85s probably, unless we just continue to see him start. But he's already been benched once this season, I believe. So it'll be very hard to put him any higher than 73 expected minutes, to be honest. That's why we have leaks though. We quite often get leaks for Man City players. So if you're, obviously I post this earlier than the deadline, but if we get a leak that a player starts, then obviously you can adjust the X minutes. You can't obviously get the numbers yourself, but you can work out roughly what kind of increase that would be. But anyway, the first game week 7 was the first week where we actually had a blank for the number 1 option. So let's look at the game week 8 numbers, and to be honest, it won't be that surprising who number 1 is. Okay, so it's no surprise that Haaland is top this week. He has Wolves away. It is maybe slightly surprising that Salah is as close as he is in second. He's only kind of 0.3 behind. I assume that's because Salah has a home fixture and Haaland has an away fixture. Home and away comes into it quite heavily, so I imagine that is what it is. But yeah, it is much closer than I thought it'd be. They're obviously on the same expected minutes, which I think seems fine this week. Salah came home early from international duty. He didn't play the second game for Egypt, so I don't think there'll be any problems minutes-wise with any of them. Maybe the surprise this week is Bruno Fernandes in third. Now, he's quite far behind in third. He's over 1 projected point behind Haaland, and he's almost 1 projected point behind Salah. So he's definitely not close to those two at the top. And one thing I will mention here is that he's probably that high up. Well, not probably, he's definitely that high up because of the expected minutes of some other players. So, for example, Son is in 6th. I've put at 65 expected minutes. I did change his minutes. If you bump them up to 80, he is above Fernandes in 3rd. Same with Foden, he has 65. If you bump those up to 80, he is above Fernandes in 3rd. So it's more the other people's expected minutes. That is the reason that Fernandes is where he is. And Postecoglou is a pretty transparent and honest manager when it comes to injuries and players who are out. So he will probably give us some good information on Son. If Son is fit, and Ange says that, then we probably can bump his minutes up to somewhere around 80, in which case he would be 3rd. I think the projected points was around 5.5 or something. So still away behind Haaland and Salah, to be honest. If you own either Haaland or Salah, which I'm sure most of you will, then they are definitely the top options this week. But yeah, interesting that Bruno Fernandes is high. Brentford, obviously, very good in attack this season, but their defence has struggled. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Bruno Fernandes do well. I do still have him in my team, and I am quietly confident about this week. So yeah, glad I own him. Solanke, he's nice and high now. If you've watched these videos previously, you'll know that the model seems to struggle with forwards in compared to other models available, and I haven't quite realised why that is. Maybe that is just correct, and forwards, I mean, we know that forwards get 1 less point for a goal compared to midfielders, and they don't get the clean sheet point that midfielders would. So it does make sense, but someone like Watkins and someone like Isak, they're always very low on this captaincy model. As you can see, Watkins isn't even in the top 10. Obviously, the fixture isn't incredible this week, so that will play a part in it. But Solanke is very, very high. So if you look at other models, he's probably even closer to Haaland and Salah. So Solanke is definitely a great option this week. Solanke is someone that I will be looking at getting in my team. Later this week I'll do a team selection video, so stay tuned for that. Saka is in 5th. Again, it's the away fixture. Bournemouth haven't been incredible defensively, but I think it's the away fixture that has him slightly lower. I've got him at 80 expected minutes, mainly just because I think that he's completely fine. He is obviously flagged in the game, but I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't play and isn't ready for this game. Then we've talked about Son, we've talked about Foden. Son is someone, again, that I'm definitely looking at getting in my team. Foden is one, not so much, to be honest. I think I just don't really trust his minutes going forward. Until we see a couple of weeks of where he fits into the City side, then I'm not sure I'd go there personally. And also, with De Bruyne coming back relatively soon, I'd want to see how those two fit into the team together, I think, before I bought him. So I don't really think I can go any higher with Foden's minutes at the moment. Porro is in 8th. Again, this is due to nice home fixture. West Ham haven't been that bad going forward, so I'm not actually that sure I'd expect a clean sheet from Porro, especially given that Spurs' defence isn't the best. But hopefully we see him in that more attacking role that he started the season in, so that's why he's high. Rashford actually makes the list in 9th with only 67 expected minutes, which does surprise me, but again, it shows you how the home fixture is kind of rated really highly, and Brentford's defence is not as great as some people maybe think it is. Obviously, they conceded 3 goals to Wolves the other week. So whilst their attack is brilliant, their defence not so much. So Man United attackers, I think, are pretty good this week. And then we have Anthony Gordon. The model is, well, all models, to be honest, are pretty slow at adapting to how a team is performing kind of currently. Obviously, Newcastle haven't been great. They were good against Man City, but besides that, they haven't been great this season. So it's up to you whether you kind of trust the data on Newcastle. But I don't think many people own Gordon at the moment anyway. One other thing to note is that I have seen a few people that are considering triple captaincy this week. Now, I don't like using that chip this week personally. Yes, Wolves have been the worst defence in the league statistically so far. They've also had the worst fixtures out of any team, so those statistics could be slightly skewed by that. I still think that next week's fixture, for example, for Haaland is Southampton at home. That is a much better use of the triple captain chip if you wanted to play it in a single game week. Next week on this video, I will look at the top numbers from the first 8 game weeks this season and compare that to what we have in game week 9 for Haaland to see where his projected points rank amongst the other game weeks we've had this week, especially the one where he played Ipswich and a lot of people did use a triple captain chip. It'll be interesting to see where the expected points are in comparison to other weeks. So we'll look at that next week. But yeah, I wouldn't be using the triple captain this week personally. If you think I've got any of these expected minutes wrong, then do let me know in the comments. But for now, that's all for this one. I will see you in the next one.